Hello, welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. So, this is a report by The Sun. I'm not too sure whether I sort of agree with this or disagree at this point in time, because the headline, you read this headline and you go, oh my god, it's in major trouble. And then you look into the facts a little bit more and you go, no, that sounds like a normal movie set, to be perfectly honest. So, like I said, the jury's out on this. And also as well, like I've got sources that have worked on this film when it was in London, when it was in Liverpool actually. Sorry, and it was fine. It was absolutely fine. I debunked the initial rumours, whereas they were going to be shut down and they were doing this, and you know all this kind of nonsense that kind of came out saying, you know, Robert Pattinson was being a huge pain in the arse, all this kind of stuff, and he'd walked off set and it was cancelled, and lo and behold, I was proved right because literally when I said they were going to film again, they were filming again. So we'll dive into this, and again, this is from The Sun. It's like a bit of a shit rag, really. So let's dive into it, right? Batman and sobbing. Batman star Robert Pattinson pushed to breaking point by control freak director Matt Reeves. Ladies and gents, just as an FYI, this headline is hugely exaggerated, because when you read it, you go, that's really standard. Like, it's actually really, really standard. And we'll dive into it, right? So, the Hollywood hunk, who is taking over from Ben Affleck as the iconic superhero for The Batman, has apparently been pushed to breaking point by control freak director Matt Reeves. Those on set have told this individual, Simon Boyle. Now, you'll hear that and you'll go, oof, that sounds awful, doesn't it? What's he been doing that's so control freak? You know, what's he doing that's so awful? Here we go. Insiders say that New York-born Matt has forced Robert Pattinson to do upwards of 50 takes. That's not unheard of. That's quite normal, actually. That's not that bad. 50 takes. That's not bad at all. What? Like, I get it that this being in trouble got loads of clicks for a lot of people, right? From The Sun, it got a lot of clicks for The Sun, got a lot of clicks for YouTubers, people who are being positive about it and debunking those sort of, you know, overly dramatic headlines. Didn't get anything, because this is what's selling at the moment. Negativity towards the Batman, because people don't like it, right? People are looking at Robert Pattinson, they don't like him, they don't like Matt Reeves. So, but 50 takes, please, come on, get real. I mean, you know that this idiot who's writing this has absolutely no concept of filming. 50 takes is nothing. Yeah, that's really not that bad. That's pretty standard. That's really standard. It's not a big issue at all. Again, like I said, you'd hear the headlines and go, this is awful. It's really not. So apparently that's left Robert Pattinson exhausted, as well as the crew. That's what happens on films, guys. I was up until like 4 or 5 AM trying to get a bit of monologue done for one of my films recently. That's just what you do. You just suck it up and get on with it. You're there to do a job. God, fucking pags everywhere. Jesus. Anyway, so their source. Filming has been a grueling process, especially for Robert, as Matt is such a perfectionist. Oh no! A director that wants a good film. Oh God, help us all. I wish everyone was like that then, wouldn't you? Hell, we'd be getting better movies. He'll insist on doing scenes over and over again and getting bogged down in the tiny detail. Sometimes it's like he doesn't know when to stop. But the tiny detail to some, it might be a tiny detail to them, but to him, you got to think about the bigger picture. Like, tiny details matter. Why are we condemning a director for wanting to get his movie done correctly? Look, it's not like he's Joss Whedon, you know, asking Gal Gadot to lay on the floor and have someone lay on top of her. Like, come on. What is going on here? Are we really that redundant of, you know, cognitive processing at this point in time that we're condemning a director for doing what he's paid to do? Anyway, Matt directed Cloverfield in 2008 and 2014's Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and its 2017 sequel, War for the Planet of the Apes. And yet we've never heard this before, have we? Anyway, the source continued, Matt has done blockbusters before, but this is another level. Batman is arguably the most popular superhero of all, and by the time the film is released, it will be the Dark Knight's first solo movie in 10 years. Warner Brothers can't afford for the fan base to be disappointed, and have thrown $90 million at the film. That's tiny. It's big in this, this year now with what's going on in the world, but that's still tiny. No one is denying that this is a high-stakes production and that Matt is feeling the pressure to get it right, but Robert has had a tough time on these franchise movies before. He hated Twilight by the time it wrapped, and the last thing anyone wants is for him to become jaded. But he hated it for other reasons. He hated it because he knew it was crap, and he hated it because it's haunted him ever since. What a total pile of garbage this article really is. You're saying, oh, well, damn you, Matt, for wanting to get this film right. What an awful human being you are. Awful, terrible. Slap your wrist, mate. Terrible for doing 50 takes. Oh no. 50 takes is absolutely nothing. And actually, if you look at what they've done, right, because this is what's really important. Because you hear that. And those that don't know about film might look at that and go, well, 50 takes is a lot. It's actually not. But even if you were to look at that and say, well, that's a lot, right? Look at how much they've achieved in actually a very short space of time. They have done a hell of a lot, right? They started shooting. We had a trailer pretty quickly. They did all their Liverpool stuff. They went away. They've come back to Liverpool again to film some inside scenes, and then they've gone away again. They've actually got through an awful lot of this film in a relatively short space of time. It's actually been pretty much on track, minus the lockdowns that have happened. They've done all right, actually. So they haven't been doing that many takes, have they? Let's be honest. Because if they had, what are we doing with like a 60-minute film now? Bitch, please. This is why, again, ladies and gents, just be warned, you are going to get so many videos now pop up in your feeds or recommended to you saying, the Batman's in trouble, my inside sources tell me this. It's just going to be parroting what this says. Bet you anything. I bet you anything. From today, just wait. From today, just wait. That's what it's going to be. And then they start talking about COVID crisis, right? So they suffered multiple issues due to the COVID crisis, forcing its release to be pushed back 5 months. So that's not a crisis. That's just them, or that's not an issue. That's them just pushing the movie back. That's not really a big problem. That's standard. Production was scrapped in March this year after the pandemic took hold, and again in September after RPATs reportedly caught the virus. That's fine. Again, not really a big issue because they started shooting again. The Sun revealed last month that the film's stunt team had also been forced into self-isolation after another positive test. Just as an FYI, because I know people that worked on this film, Warner Brothers are actually very relaxed with their COVID testing, right? And you could go and ask, if anyone knows anything about this, and people working on this, they will corroborate this. But the way they're doing their testing is everyone is self-isolating anyway. Everyone is bubbling. They test in the morning. If they're all fine, fine. Continue on as normal. If you get a positive result, then you have to self-isolate, i.e. the people that have tested positive, and they give you another test in 12 hours. If you test negative, because the testing is unreliable, this is how they've been doing it anyway. I 100% can confirm this. They will do another test in 12 hours. If it's negative, then they will wait a further 12 hours. If it's repeatedly negative again, then they just continue as normal. So this self-isolation thing is, again, it's just trying to hype it up like it's some big thing. It's really not. All these setbacks have made Matt paranoid about catching COVID. I think most people working on these things are paranoid because they don't want to shut it down. The thing is, they can afford extras to go under with COVID. They can't afford the stars to, or the director. That's why they're paranoid. Because the stars, they would probably have a positive test, right? They would have, maybe they've got COVID and they don't even know it, right? Because that's genuinely what happens these days. You get a positive test, you're like, well, I didn't even know I've had it. Anyway, and then they're going to get forced into self-isolation. They can afford other people to do that. It's not a big deal. They can't afford themselves to do it because, again, lots of money rides on these projects. Why are we saying that this is a big deal? It's really not. Like, it's not a big deal at all. They just don't want to cause delays because Warner Brothers are strong-armed into doing these things because the government of the UK is forcing them to take these measures. That's the state that is the state of play. That is it. Apparently it's got to the point now where he's been directing scenes while zipped up inside a puffer coat and with ski goggles on. Well, we know that. We've seen it anyway. It's really not a big deal. And I've explained why. It's nothing to be that dramatic over. As a COVID secure outfit, it's questionable, but if it makes him feel more at ease, everyone's going with it. Well, just as an FYI, it's actually like 0 and minus in the UK right now. It's very cold. There's snow, there's ice, people have been snowed in, we've got Storm Bella here. So to say that someone's wrapped up in a puffer jacket, not really that surprising, guys. Again, notorious shit rag, the sun, at it again. Anyway, there you go. What do you think? I would just say that this is all total nonsense. Step by step, you can just rip this apart. Tear it to shreds. Love it. So just be warned, ladies and gents, you're going to get lots now coming up in your feed going, my source told me this and my source told me that. It can all just be torn apart, quite simply. So let me know your thoughts down below. Nothing to be worried about. Not really a big deal. 50 takes? Nothing. That is actually nothing. Really, really nothing. Anyone who knows anything about films will tell you that. That's not a big deal. But the sun preys on ignorance. So don't be ignorant. Let me know your thoughts down below. If you're new here, do hit subscribe. Thanks so much. Take care.